welcome back to the Chelsweets kitchen. I've been asked a lot of times what buttercream recipe I use, so I've decided to share it with you and show you how it all comes together. So I always follow the standard rule of 1 stick of butter to 2 cups of powdered sugar, and then I adjust the vanilla, salt, and heavy cream as needed based on how much of the other ingredients I'm using. So in a classic batch, or a standard batch that I use to ice an 8-inch cake that has 3 layers, I use 4 sticks of butter. I use 8 cups of powdered sugar, which this bag has exactly 8 cups, which is really convenient. A lot of people buy their powdered sugar in smaller boxes, or at least in New York City, and those generally have 4 cups of powdered sugar. So I don't actually use measuring cups because I know how many cups are in the bags that I'm using, and I know that a stick of butter is a half a cup. But if you're using ingredients in a larger volume, definitely feel free to use a measuring cup. So I start off by putting my sticks of butter into my hand mixer. And I have a KitchenAid, which makes it a lot easier, but if you don't, you can definitely use a hand mixer. That's totally fine. So I'll start off by putting my butter into the bowl of my mixer, and then I'm going to beat it on a high speed for about 3 minutes to get it light and fluffy. Alright, so now that we have our butter in the bowl of our KitchenAid, we're going to go ahead and beat it for a few minutes just to get it smooth and make it a little bit fluffier before we start mixing in the powdered sugar. So our butter looks pretty good. We're going to start to slowly add in the powdered sugar. And the key here is being patient. If you add in too much powdered sugar, it will just explode up in your face as you mix. So always just add a little bit and go slow. And don't turn it to high immediately. Make sure you incorporate it slowly. So now we're going to add in another round of powdered sugar. And I kind of just do this by eye, but if you want to use a measuring cup, you can add it in by a cup or 2 as you go. I like to give it a few slow stirs before I start beating on a high speed so it doesn't puff up into my face. So we'll add in another installment of powdered sugar now. So you want to make sure that the entire installment that you poured in before is fully incorporated before you add another. Alright, so we're going to pour in the last bit of powdered sugar now. So now that we have all of our powdered sugar incorporated, we're going to add in a splash of vanilla, which really should be about 2 teaspoons, which I just kind of do 2 quick pours. And I slowly stir that. One other thing to note is that as you're making your buttercream, feel free to scrape down the edges with a spatula, because sometimes powdered sugar or bits of butter will get stuck along the sides, and you want to make sure that everything is fully incorporated by the time you're done making your buttercream, because no one wants a bite of pure powdered sugar or pure butter. I've learned that the hard way. Here is to pour in a splash of heavy cream. So you can add anywhere from a teaspoon of heavy cream to 1/4 of a cup. And it really depends on what thickness you want your buttercream to be. So right now I'm going to be using this to make or to frost cupcakes. So I want it to be really light and fluffy, so I'm going to add a decent amount of cream. But if you were frosting a cake, you would want to not add very much cream and mix it on low and not get it too fluffy, because you don't want big air bubbles in your frosting as you're trying to smooth it over a cake. So for now I can have a little fun, pour in a decent amount of cream and mix it on high until it's light and fluffy. But if you're going to be decorating a cake, you want to mix it on low and not add too much cream. You'd probably stick closer to 1 or 2 teaspoons. So I'm going to continue to mix this on high for another minute until it gets some more air incorporated into it. But because I'm making this frosting for some salted caramel cupcakes, I'm going to add in some caramel sauce that I've made earlier. So I'm just going to generously pour in, I would say about 1/4 of a cup of caramel. And then I'm going to continue to stir on high until it's fully incorporated. And just like that, our buttercream is done. Once I'm done making it, I like to kind of scrape along the sides just in case there's anything on the edges that wasn't fully mixed in. So you can use this recipe as a base to make any other flavor of buttercream that you like. So hopefully you guys now can make your own buttercream and enjoy.